All right, here we are again, MaxPreps Podcast number 3. Zack, Poff, Steve Montoya. We got some big games to look forward to, but we got to look backwards a little bit, talk about our rankings, and we got to start obviously with the game you were at.
Yeah.
Mater Dei, Bishop Gorman. What'd you see from Mater Dei? What'd you see standing on that sideline? They're a different ball club.
Yeah, I mean, going in, we were talking about how this is, probably the most complete team in the country. And they showed it last Friday night. It was a dominant win, 31-15. Could have probably been worse, but they're just good everywhere. I've been impressed, too, with Dash Byerly at quarterback. He's a 2025 Washington commit. He's come right in, and he's like the perfect game manager for that team.
Mm-hmm.
No turnovers, completing easy passes, and they're just loaded with playmakers, and they dominated in the trenches. Tomu Topu, a big-time junior defensive tackle, he's as disruptive as any player in the country. I thought him or Jordan Davison was the best player on the field last Friday in that win. But yeah, Mater Dei now 17-0 against out-of-state opponents since 2017. Crazy. Yeah.
And so the rankings, you kept Bishop Gorman in the top 5. What was your thought around that?
Well, at the end of the day, they're going to play the number 1 team on the road. I look at it this way. I don't think there's many teams in the country that are going to go out there and beat Mater Dei. Bishop Gorman was down 14-7 at half, made it a game. You're not going to drop too far playing the number 1 team on the road. So,
yep. And Orange Lutheran, we'll get to them in a little bit about who they're playing. Obviously, Bishop Gorman, but they had a big win this weekend too in California against St. Francis Academy, 15-13 type game.
Yeah.
Usually, you don't see those type of games in high school a lot anymore.
Yeah,
it's kind of a slugfest, but big win for Orange Lutheran.
Yeah, a defensive battle. That's Orange Lutheran's bread and butter. They're a great defensive team. Talanoa Ely, a stud linebacker in the class of 2026, one of the best players. I'm looking forward to that game against Bishop Gorman. And, going back to why Gorman stayed at 5-2, they got that win on the road against St. Thomas Aquinas too, dominated a good Kahuku team. So this is a big opportunity for them too, because this is their last out-of-state game. After this, most likely going to be a cakewalk for Bishop Gorman. Going to win another state title, dominate in-state competition. So this is another opportunity for them to, big opportunity against a team that's 3-0, has had 3 quality wins, and coming off that win against St. Francis. So, but yeah, this should be a fun game. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game, and it might come down to which quarterback plays better. So we'll break down this game in a little bit. But yeah, nice win for OLU last week.
And then in Texas, new number 13, North Crowley. What a game!
Yeah.
If you love offense, going the opposite of what we were just talking about with OLU and St. Francis. This is a high-scoring affair. North Crowley pulled it off. Impressive play on both sides for both teams. But what a win there in Texas.
Yeah, that was, kind of a shocker for me. North Crowley was ranked in the top 50. DeSoto was at number 5. DeSoto was riding a 23-game winning streak, back-to-back 6A D2 state champs. But, yeah, big win for for North Crowley and the city of Fort Worth, because it always comes down to, the Dallas area is usually the best. Houston, obviously, too, is always good in the state of Texas. But a big win for the city of Fort Worth, and they were firing on all cylinders. Quentin Gibson had 7 grabs for $180 and 4 touchdowns. They rushed for, 300 yards, dominated on the ground. Cornelius Warren went for 3 touchdowns on the ground. So, yeah, a big win for North Crowley, and they went from unranked all the way up to number 13. When you get big wins like that, you're obviously going to make a big jump in the rankings.
Yeah, and speaking of a big jump, we talked about this team last week, Boyle County. Your guy Quisenberry is a stud player. What a win, though, for them to play someone like St. Edward and beat them. That's huge. For them, for sure. Yeah,
going on the road, putting Kentucky on the map there. It's rare to see, if I had to guess off the top of my head, the last team to probably be ranked in the top 25 from Kentucky is probably Trinity. Mm-hmm. And it's been a minute for sure. So, yeah, Montavian Quisenberry, a 2025 West Virginia commit. He went for over 150 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, threw a 69-yard touchdown pass on a trick play. And then he kind of iced the game when it was 35-21. St. Ed's tried to make a comeback in the 4th, got an interception. So, yeah, Montavian Quisenberry, if you're not on that guy's game, get on him. He's fun to watch. He's an electric playmaker. He was our preseason top player in the state of Kentucky for a reason. Went out and showed it, and Boyle County, boom, goes from number 52 in our top 100 all the way up to number 14. So, yeah, huge win for the state of Kentucky and for Boyle County as a program.
Yeah, and the Spartans, De La Salle, they're back in the top 25. It's been a while. I mean, if you're thinking about national rankings, especially 10 years ago or so, De La Salle, I mean, it's automatic. They're going to be top 5. And now they're back. They've had some impressive wins over Grant, Sarah. They mopped up
Dominated.
Sarah. And we were talking about Bob Lattiser, their coach, being an article coming out about some of the top coaches of all time. This is a good win for De La Salle. It's good to see the Spartans back in the top 25.
Yeah, Justin Allenbaugh's done a good job taking over, obviously, for Lattiser. And, the last time they were ranked was 2021. It's kind of come full circle because they play St. Francis this week, and they lost to St. Francis back in 2021, and that snapped their 30-year streak of beating teams from Northern California. So it's kind of full circle. So hopefully they beat St. Francis this week for them so they stay in the rankings. But, yeah, dominant performance. And, De La Salle football. They're going to run the ball. They got 3 stud running backs, and they're going to tackle well. And they did that against Sarah. And that was impressive because, the way Sarah played Folsom, competitive game, and De La Salle dominated this one and earned their spot in the rankings this week.
Yeah, and finally, before we look ahead, St. John Bosco goes to number 2.
Yeah.
What was the thought about moving up to number 2? These modern day Bosco will play in late October, but we can't look too far ahead already. But Bosco at number 2 once again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a tough decision because Milton's looked great this year too. So it really came down to, who's going to be 2, Bosco or Milton. I just, obviously Milton didn't play last week. Bosco beat us here, Canyon team. That's got D1 guys, and they won 38-28. And, they had to have their freshman quarterback come in to win that game. Matei Fuyava got a little banged up late, so freshman quarterback comes in and seals the deal for them. Madden Williams went for 250 and 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, it's Trinity League football this year. I feel like it's the best conference every single year. They're 16-1 this year, and they've played legit competition. So it's going to be tough for Mater Dei or Bosco, though, to go undefeated because the Trinity League this year for me is the best it's ever been, and that's saying something.
That's definitely saying something. Mater Dei going out to Hawaii this week to play Kahuku. So let's look a little bit forward now. We talked about this game a little bit, but Orange Lutheran, Bishop Gorman, you're headed out there. You're going to see the Gales once again. I mean, obviously they're coming off the game against Mater Dei, but it doesn't get much easier with Orange Lutheran coming to town. Yeah,
it's, we were just talking about the Trinity League. This is going to be another tough opponent for Bishop Gorman. And, Orange Lutheran has a lot of the same qualities that Mater Dei has, just not as deep offensively. But they're great on the offensive line, and they have a very good front seven, a good secondary. So I think this one's going to be a low-scoring type of game, and it's going to come down to which quarterback plays better. You got TJ Lateef for Orange Lutheran, a 2025 Nebraska commit. And then on the other hand, it'll be interesting to see who's going to be QB1 for Bishop Gorman because last week, Makai Eugenio was the better quarterback of the two. But then you go back to the Aquinas game, and Melvin Spicer was the better quarterback of the two. So it'll be interesting to see who gets most of the reps this weekend. I expect it to be the senior Melvin Spicer, but that's going to be an interesting matchup. I think whatever quarterback plays better on Friday night's going to walk out with a dub in Vegas, though. I'm leaning Gorman to bounce back. They're going to be back at home. S.J. Alofatuli returned last week. He's the leader on the offensive line. So I think Bishop Gorman's going to win in the trenches, and I think they're going to get the dub.
All right, let's go to Texas, St. Francis Academy. Man, they're going everywhere.
Yeah.
And then number 22.
Yeah, they got the frequent flyer miles for sure.
They sure do. That's no doubt. They play in Duncanville. For Texas, I think this is almost a bigger game just for Texas in general because they're not playing a lot of out-of-state games. So St. Francis comes into town after losing to Orange Lutheran. For Texas, you're almost thinking like Duncanville. You need to smoke them to show that, hey, Texas is for real because they don't play a lot of out-of-state games, and it's good to see Duncanville taking on this game. And what are you looking for in this one?
Yeah, and it hasn't fared well for Texas in these out-of-state games. Obviously Duncanville against Mater Dei a few years ago. Allen wasn't the same when Bosco came out and beat Allen, but even go back to a few years ago, Jonte Cook senior year at DeSoto, St. Francis came out and beat them pretty handily. So yeah, this is a huge opportunity for the state of Texas to show, hey guys, we're still one of the top 3, top 4 states when it comes to high school football. And Keelan Russell was doing his thing last week in season opener for Duncanville. He threw for 5 touchdowns. You know, DeCorian Moore, the best receiver in the country, in my opinion. You can make a case he's the best player overall in high school football. He went for 9 grabs and over 100 yards and a tutty. So this would be a fun matchup because St. Francis is loaded in the secondary, but I think Duncanville is going to be too much for them on offense. But like you said, this is a big opportunity for the state of Texas against a team like St. Francis Academy loaded with D1 talent.
Yep, and finally we'll end it in Georgia. Buford, number 20, Douglas County. Buford's lone loss this season was a good game. I mean, to Milton, right? 13-10, I believe, and that's their lone loss. Douglas County undefeated. What are you looking forward to in this game in the Peach State? Yeah,
this is kind of an opportunity for Douglas County to prove that, hey, we're the top dog in the state of Georgia, and you know, if they beat Buford more handily than Milton did, even though it was the first game of the season, it's a little different when you're playing 3, and this will be the 4th game for Buford and the 5th game for Douglas County. But, you know, both impressive wins last week. Douglas County was able to take down a very good Langston Hughes team, 21-14, and then Buford put 42 on the board against Roswell. And, Dylan Royal has been a big story this year, true freshman quarterback for Nebraska. Mm-hmm. His younger brother, Dayton, a junior, has been playing pretty good. He's getting better each week. So this would be interesting game to see, but I like Douglas County in this one. I just think they're too good on both sides of the ball.
It's crazy to think we're already almost to Game 5 for some teams.
Season flies by, man. It's crazy.
Season's flying by, and this week is filled with great matchups, and you're going to be on the ground in Vegas for Bishop Gorman.
I'll say this, too. Another game out in Georgia, Carrollton, Gainesville. That's going to be another must-watch game, too, with Julian Lewis at quarterback, obviously a 2025 USC commit. He's going up against Gainesville, who's also undefeated. They got a 2026 USC commit. And that's going to be a fun one because Gainesville's got a legit defense. Carrollton's got a good offense. So that's going to be another game to watch this week in the state of Georgia.
All right. Well, you heard it here. And follow Zack as he'll be on the ground for that big one out in Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us. Once again, that's Zack Poff, Steve Montoya. Thanks for tuning in.